And now, Donald Trump supporter, former Arizona Governor Jan Brewer, and Democratic Congressman Brad Sherman, who sits on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Thanks to both of you. Congressman Sherman, you heard John McCain. Barack Obama is directly responsible for it. He may now parse words of the word personally versus directly, but he said what he said. He stands by that part, directly responsible. Fair?
Outrageous. The fact is, it is the Maliki government installed by George W. Bush with the advice of John McCain that caused ISIS to be created. Their incredible level of corruption sent a well-equipped army to the north of Iraq and gave all those weapons to ISIS because he didn't bother to pay the soldiers. They stole the money for themselves. Maliki was installed by George W. Bush, and he created an anti-Sunni, incredibly corrupt and oppressive regime which gave us ISIS today. And then, not only did they run away from their weapons, they ran away from the Mosul Bank. And in just a few days, ISIS became the richest and the best armed terrorist organization, all because of the government we installed in Baghdad under the Bush administration.
All of those gold bars that they got in. Okay, so you're saying it's outrageous, but Governor Brewer, you know, President Obama is saying something very different about where the blame lies. Let me tell you a little bit. Here's what he said today about that.
Those who were killed and injured here were gunned down by a single killer with a powerful assault weapon. The motives of this killer may have been different than the mass shooters in Aurora or Newtown, but the instruments of death were so similar.
Governor Brewer, does he have a point there that guns are to blame if there had not been a rifle involved with this shooting, that many, many fewer people would have died?
I'm a little bit amused by this discussion, given the fact that John McCain clarified his statement. You know, as a politician, sometimes on the spur of the moment we say things, but he did walk back his comment that it wasn't President personally.
Well, personally and directly, I mean, you can call that a walk. Hold on a second. You can call that a walk back, but he didn't take away what he said, that he's directly responsible. I mean, directly or personally, I mean, it's equally awful to say.
But I think, you know, it's based on his security advisors, the people that are making the direction of the country, of how we're going to fight this battle, this war on ISIS. And in regards to the shooting in Orlando, I heard part of his speech today when he was down there, and you played a piece of it for me. And it's a tough thing to do, to go down there and talk about it. But I wish that we could at least have one day that the country of America, we could weep for this horrible tragedy together, without politicizing it and blaming it all on gun control. It just seems outrageous to me that that's where it always wants to go, where these things always want to go, instead of laying the blame at the feet of the people who have done this. Obviously, he pledged his support to ISIS, and we ought to be, as Americans and as our federal government and their decision policy makers, we ought to be over there fighting them on their territory.
Isn't though, let me just ask you though, okay,
carefully ensure that they don't come into our country.
Congressman, isn't though what John McCain did also politicizing this, in terms of saying Barack Obama's directly responsible, whether he's talking about his foreign policy, so what, isn't that politicizing it?
The president's initial comments, I think, were the right comments of grieving, and he did state that this was an act of hate and an act of terrorism.
Yes.
I think we all agree on that. But then Trump went absolutely wild in just a few hours after this event took place, and that has unfortunately crowded out what should be the sorrow of this nation, for 49 people killed and over 50 injured. But now that we're discussing all this, the fact is there's only one thing we can be certain about Barack Obama's policies in Iraq, and that is, prior to those policies, we were losing hundreds and thousands of our bravest every year, and now we're not.
All right, I want to give Governor Brewer a chance to respond to what you said, though. Governor Brewer, as a supporter of Donald Trump, do you think he took it too far when he said things like, look, we're led by a man that either isn't tough or not smart, or he has something else in mind when he's talking about this act of terror, where the implication multiple times was that he sympathized with the terrorists in some way? Do you think that he took it too far, Governor?
I believe that he is not speaking forthright to us, as trying to always soften the subject matter of where we're at in America today in regards to this terrorist, radical Islamic terrorist situation that we're facing here. The people of America are fearful. They want to see us to be America again. And the bottom line is that they don't believe that our federal government is protecting us.
All right. Thank you both very much. I appreciate your time tonight.